Hey there, how are you?
Hey Charlie,
Hey Russ, how are you?
good. How are you?
Hey, another day in paradise.
Another day in
Gonna be hot as
paradise.
hell here.
How hot do I want to know?
I think they said 98.
Seriously.
Yeah, well, for us, that's quite hot.
Yes, that is very, very hot. I understand. We're in humid Georgia, so I get it. I know the feeling.
I know you guys don't have a whole lot of problems when it gets to the 90s, do you? Except you have humidity.
Yeah, right, right. Humidity. That and my air conditioning unit can't keep up with the
I
with the
did
temperatures.
I did an outdoor art show over the weekend and it was 95. It was man, I didn't need to get a tan, but I ended up with one just because couldn't get out of the sun.
Right.
But I'm not sure if I'm going to do any of those anymore. I think I'll just work on my artwork and not worry about trying to sell it very much. We'll see. How's everything on your end, though?
Good. It's good. Just we're gearing up for Fort Worth, and no, everything's okay. Everything's shaping up. So no complaints. No
I have a
complaints.
quick question. Are you going to be
Yeah.
doing your, um, I guess it was the competition, the t-shirt competition in Fort Worth or not this year?
You know what? I don't know. Coming into this new, I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about it. What did they do that previously?
Oh, for every year for years and years and years.
Okay. 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 No, I don't know anything about it. Who put that on? Did Impressions do that?
Well, it was obviously the ISS show at that time, but
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
And God, I'd have to dig back, but there are bunches of different categories based on screen printing, based on embroidery, based on digital,
Okay.
based on sublimation.
Okay.
Um, I don't know. They'd have like 15 or so categories.
Okay. And were there awards tied to it, Charlie?
Yeah,
Okay. I
yeah.
wonder if that's why. Yeah, I'm racking my brain about Jamar. I think what had happened was, with COVID, everything kind of stopped. They stopped doing it, but we definitely want to take a look at redoing it again. Whether that's in the short term at Fort Worth or taking a step back and trying to do something in Long Beach or what have you. But I
It,
definitely think it's
yeah,
important.
it was always held in Fort Worth.
And Fort Worth. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
which, we're in July, August, September. So you still have 2 months,
Yeah.
which is probably still enough time to get something out there. If you go back into the, it's going to sound funny. If you go back into the old magazines, you'll find the whole rundown on the contest.
Okay. Okay.
And I
Cool.
can certainly see if I can dig something up. I was always one of the judges, as was
Okay.
Dane, James Ortolani, Scott Fresner.
Okay.
Not sure who some of the embroidery people were, but uh, in general, it was a lot of the speakers that were also the judges.
Okay. No, that's cool. I'm big on that. I like that. Yeah, if you don't mind digging, I'll do some digging too on my end, and we'll see what we can come up with.
Yeah, I'll see if I can dig out anything on it. I'm sure I do have something somewhere.
Okay.
I always thought it was a big thing at the show just because it gave people a chance to see what was going on in the industry and what people were
Right.
doing. And whether you won an award or not didn't really matter. You at least got your stuff to hang and be displayed.
Okay.
So
No, I
that end, it
completely
was
agree.
good.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Good to know. Thank you. And it's challenging for us because we lost all the historical information, right? So we rely on people like you, that have been coming for years to kind of say, "Hey, you guys doing it?" Just to make sure we're not dropping anything here in the transition. So
Yeah, I mean, the Fort Worth show was always a wonderful show.
okay.
Um, Always had a good turnout. I think that was also part of it is it gave people a chance to kind of close out the year in terms of shows to see what was done in the past 12 months, so to speak. And
Right.
then, of course, January was always the big kickoff, which think a lot of us are really anxious to see how that show comes together because obviously there's a lot riding on it. But certainly from your end, but also from our end in terms of the feel from the industry as to what's going on.
Yeah.
And you have Printing United coming up in October, which should be quite good. I think the big question is whether it's going to have a heavy international draw or not. Not so much exhibitors, but more from the participant side or the attendee side.
Yeah. Okay.
Exhibitors will be there, whatever. The question is, will the attendees fly in for it? And if they do for that show, then the January show should be a powerhouse show. It's always been, for the last couple of years, it's been considered the #1 screen print show in the world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And of course, COVID didn't do wonders for anybody, but going back to last January, obviously it was really a regional show. Nobody was flying in from out of the country.
Yeah, I mean the timing of the Omicron variant happening at the same time with us trying to get a show off the ground was it was a huge challenge for us.
Without a doubt.
I mean, it was it was wild. I hope to never relive through that again. But I will say, those exhibitors and attendees alike that came, they were there, they were serious, and it was meaningful. They were happy to get back and see each other in that setting. So.
Well, I think, for a lot of us, that January show was really the big kickoff for the year.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And needless to say, last year was, I wouldn't call it disappointment, just small in comparison to what it had been the past couple of years.
Yeah.
So we'll see. You wearing sunglasses today? Yeah, no, can't hear you. Sorry.
Yeah, you should be able to hear me now.
I can.
You got these are blue blockers.
I was going to say you got a blue haze across your glasses.
Yeah, it's supposedly supposed to reduce the radiation off the monster screens I have, and I tell you, I can tell a difference after not wearing them for 5 minutes.
Is that right?
I just tell everybody I'm Clark Kent.
I have to admit, I can't see a goddamn thing with or without my glasses anymore. So to me, it doesn't make any difference one way or the other.
Sean, I totally agree with that. I've got a couple pair, and they really do make a difference. I mean, big time. No, I'm a big advocate for them. No, totally.
And
my favorite
amazing.
Glasses.
We have yet to ever sell them to a client, which I'm thinking they would want them for every person in the field. But
my favorite glasses, I have to admit, are my night driving glasses, which have yellow lenses. Because
you buy them
starting to get this cataract thing, and so the yellow lenses actually kill off some of the glare, and it makes it look nice out.
Charlie, why don't you get a prescription windshield then? You thought about that?
I have a Porsche. Do you have any idea what that would cost me?
Okay, I don't even know if they make.
I got to triple my fee to you guys, and even that wouldn't help. There are some things that I think are worth looking into. For me, that one is probably not a highlight.
Not on your list.
Not only that, I can't see worth a damn anyway. So even if I got that, it would. I keep going to the doctor, to the eye doctor, and I now have progressive lenses, which are driving me out of my mind. I hate those stupid things, but I'm at the point where if I want to read, I got to put on my reading glasses. If I want to see distance, I got to put on my distance glasses. So I decided, all right, I'll get one pair of those. Not my favorite thing, but as you start to creep up in age, which you guys wouldn't have any clue about, as things start to progress, you find that things that you never thought about have become a reality. So who knows?
I'm going to try and connect when I get in the car. I got to go to the dealership real quick. So you may or may not see me again.
I don't care if I don't see you, as long as we have your wonderful voice coming through.
Yes. Okay.
By the way, do you know who Russ is on this?
No.
Okay, so
haven't
Russ
met,
is
no.
now in charge of the
Oh, Impressions.
Impressions Expo.
So Russ, are you here in Alpharetta?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I'm right up on Highway 9 in McFarland.
Oh, no kidding. Okay. Yep. We're right near North Point Mall, and the Top Golf, if you're familiar with that, right off 400, right there. Too funny. Cool.
So yeah, before Jamar had moved on, we had done a couple print jobs and heat transfer jobs for the garments going on the cover photo.
Okay.
So if you ever need anything like that, don't hesitate to reach out and we'll let you know if we can or cannot.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Thanks,
But
Sean.
yeah, usually if we got enough notice, it's pretty good. He came to us a couple times in a very hurried fashion.
A hurried fashion, like a desperate move.
Yeah.
Perfect. No, I appreciate that. Thanks, Sean.
Got it. I'll try and hop back on when I get in the car. Thanks.
Okay.
Terrific. He's really good. I
Okay.
put him in, I put his shop together, I don't know how many years ago now, but he's one of these guys who is really very methodical about everything that he does
Okay.
and does a really good job. So he's got an automatic, he's got manuals, he's got embroidery. I think he has some signage and stuff as well. Hey, Jim, are you on? Jim? I can see your name, but I can't hear you. So Jim has been helping me out. I did this outdoor art festival over the weekend. Jim was the one who made life easier for me by helping me set up and break down. I'd never done one before. I mean, I belonged to a gallery for about 11 years, but that was indoors. That was all easy. This outdoor stuff was interesting, besides being fried.
Was it like a pop-up type of event with, easy up tents and things like that? Is that kind of the
Yeah,
okay.
there were close to 100 tents.
Okay.
And yesterday was just hot as hell, like 95, 94, 95. The day before, 2 hours of brutal rain during the middle of the whole thing, which actually felt pretty good, to be honest with you. It was like, damn, wish it would rain yesterday as well. Would have been
Right.
all right. But having done one now, you find out how weak you are in certain of your own marketing situations. And I definitely fell into that category. Way too much stuff and not enough room to maneuver through my booth. Oh, well, lots of oohs and ahs, but no sales, but so it goes.
Well, you never know. You never know. Things might happen.
Yeah, I'm not too worried. Fortunately, I don't have to rely on making a living based on that. So I'm all
Yeah,
right.
right.
With that. I also have no idea how many people are going to show up or whatever, because normally I do this on a Tuesday,
Okay.
but I'm going on my road trip tomorrow. So I leave tomorrow early. And I go from here, I make a stop in Nebraska to see a client and help her out with a shop that she's looking to buy out, and then continue on to Kansas City, Missouri, so that I can work with the shop the following day. Then from there, work my way up to Chicago to do the whole thing with Marshall, his
Shirt lab.
shirt lab.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll just be visiting that, but hook up with them for shirt lab. Actually, Friday morning, have a meeting with M&R to do some workshops up there, and then over to shirt lab, kick around for the weekend, which is good. I get a chance to eat some really good places. I have a friend from the industry who opened up restaurants and is now considered #1 barbecue in Illinois. So I will be paying Greg matter of fact, he won the contest a number of times over the years. And then from there over to Wisconsin to do a job, and then from Wisconsin down to Nebraska again to actually do a day-long workshop, and then home. 10 days on the road, then home
Okay.
for about a week, and then jump on a plane and do a couple of shops in Ohio, back home, and then I'm done
Okay.
until September, I think.
Until Fort Worth, right?
I've been doing it every year. It gives me a chance to get in my car and actually drive. So
So I
I
was going
think
to say you're actually driving. You're not. Are you renting a car, or what do you?
no,
What's your transportation
the only
like?
time I get a chance to drive my car. I
Okay.
mean, I have a 2013 Porsche
Yeah.
that I bought used.
Okay.
Bought it, I think it was 2 to 3, I think it was 3 years old, and it had 8,600 miles on it. I
Oh
mean,
wow.
I don't know where the guy drove it, but I mean, there wasn't a ping, there wasn't even dust on it. So I've now had it, I don't know how many years. So it's now 9 years old and I have 36,000 miles, of
Okay.
which almost all of them are for my road trip. I put on about 3,000 miles on my road trip every year.
Okay.
So it gives me a chance to air it out. Put my
Well, I
foot
guess
down
cars
on the
like that are
gas.
meant to be driven, right? So.
Put my foot down. I think, what was it? Not last year, the year before, I left early and I think I had it at 135. And then backed off because I figure if the cops catch me, my wife will never let me hear the end of it, on top of which she'll never see me again.
Right. Exactly.
So are you
Exactly.
guys still working from home? Are you working in the office now?
Yeah. It's a hybrid model. I'm at home clearly today. Going a couple days a week in Alpharetta, but yeah, we're hybrid.
Okay. So
Okay.
is it ever, you think it's ever going to get back to a normal situation in the office, or probably not?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say. I mean, I definitely think being together in person and collaborating, there's never going to be, anything better than that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
look at the business that we're in, right? It's about being in front of people and showing them, and talking to them about things. So, I mean, there's never going to be a anything different than being in person and interacting. So I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I know my daughter works interactively on her job, so they don't care where she is, and as long as she can get on a computer, she's fine. And I think she's thrilled not to have to go to the office.
Okay. Okay.
And her client, I mean, she lives in Austin, Texas, and her client is actually up in Seattle. So for her, it doesn't really matter. Matter of fact, her boss, I think, is also in Seattle. So kind of nice not to have to deal with that. And so if we go away on vacation, she just has to be able to get on a computer and all is good at that point. But I think that's the only thing about the pandemic that's made life a little bit easier in a sense for everyone, is to be able to get on a Zoom session. I mean, prior to this, never,
Never.
it
No,
was
never.
like, you want what? What the hell is Zoom?
Mhm.
Oh yeah, go to meeting. Yeah, that's a bore. Okay. If that's what I have to do, once a year, I can deal with that. Now it's kind of like, wow, live on this stuff.
I know. Totally between this and Teams, no, it definitely makes, seeing one another and interacting a whole lot easier,
It
I
does.
agree.
So what are the plans for the Impressions Expo coming up?
In Fort Worth, we're really excited about it. We've actually had some time to plan and get things ready after Atlantic City. We're probably looking at just under 100 exhibitors right now. Exhibit hall's shaping up really nice. We've got probably I think about 5 workshops, maybe 20 different sessions
Seminars.
related to the industry, which I know thankfully you're helping us out with once again, and we appreciate it. We're gonna have shop talks going on the show floor, with presented by Ink Kitchen. So it should be a good time. We're excited to get back to Fort Worth and see people there. And like I said, the show's shaping up really nice. We're really pumped about that. I actually went there to Fort Worth to do a site visit of the facility and surrounding areas. Geez, maybe a couple months ago. I almost got stuck there, which wouldn't have been fun for a night, but because of weather. But no, we're pumped about it, and I think the industry is as well. We've gotten really good feedback. Attendance numbers are are looking up, clearly, you know, and hopefully with all the COVID stuff behind us, we shouldn't have any issues. So
Yeah, I mean, Texas always has a good turnout, always, even in the middle of the pandemic, of course.
Yeah.
With that governor being who it is, who really doesn't care about what's going on anyway. So of course everybody shows up,
Right.
but we won't get into politics. I guess my question is, prior to the pandemic, there were a bunch of shows that were scheduled that never came off.
Yeah.
Baton Rouge was one of them. Orlando, et cetera. Are you guys looking at potentially putting any of those shows back in, or are you just going to leave it to 3 shows for now?
You know, that's a good question. It's something we've talked about. We really need to get our arms and ears and minds around what the needs and wants are from the industry. And if there is a need for a show in a certain area, we can certainly take a look at it. So that's one thing we're incorporating into some of our research as we, you know, go on. You know, is there a need somewhere that's underrepresented to where, you know, people can't come to California, Texas, or New Jersey? So it's definitely not out of the question. We just want to make sure, you know, we would want to make sure that things are right and there is a need and we have the support from the industry to do it.
Baton Rouge definitely sounded intriguing to
Bring
me.
back, you should bring back Nashville.
Was there a Nashville show years ago,
Oh, yeah.
Sean? Okay. Okay. It's funny you said that. We before I came to Impressions, I was on another event, National Pavement Expo, and we were in Nashville in 2019. We were able to stage 2020, and it was, I mean, the city's just awesome, the nightlife and everything. I love it. So that's good to know. Okay, that's good to know, Sean.
Yeah, Charlie, didn't you and Dane and I, when we were walking down that one alley, see Jesus?
Yep. Listen, I enjoy Nashville. I mean, you know, it's not the heaviest turnout, but I think it's one of those destinations that people want an excuse to go to. And so it's interesting. You know, I mean, I've been doing the workshop since I started the workshop back in 1986. And we've had some interesting ones. So we've done them in Reno, Atlanta, of course, Dallas, Fort Worth. Where we haven't done much is in the Midwest.
Okay. Okay.
And I'm not sure if there's if there's a correct spot in the Midwest that would really draw a crowd. I mean, I shouldn't say that. We did do Columbus, Ohio, for a number of years. That was probably about as close to Midwest as you could get.
Okay.
Where you still had enough population to potentially come to a show and make it worthwhile. But, you know, I think the biggest thing is when you compare it to what Long Beach or Atlantic City or even Fort Worth can draw, everything else is definitely on a shallower side. The show that's kind of strange and disappointing to a great extent was your Orlando show. When they moved it to September, it bombed. When it was in February, it was amazing. It was a killer show. And my question is, who in the hell wants to go to Orlando in September, but everybody wants to go there in February?
Right. Right. You know, it's interesting. And if I'm not mistaken, I think at the time that the show in Orlando was co-located with Surf Expo.
Right.
Before I even came to Emerald, I actually went to Surf Expo / Impressions in Orlando as well. So yeah, I've been there. Yeah, that's, you know, it's interesting, and that's always a question when you're planning dates and things like that. You know, making sure that, you know, things work and you're going to get the best return for exhibitors and attendees. So you just have to have the support, I think.
I mean, Surf Expo was massive, and they get a heavy turnout. Those people didn't drift over to the Impressions side.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, the people from Impressions were stopped from getting over to the other side. They had to go outside and all the way around to get in from the front door. And it's like, you got to be kidding. I got to take a half a mile journey to get in. And the answer is, yeah, sorry. I think they made, personally, I just think they made a mistake. I think they took a show that was probably their number 2 show, which is what either Orlando or Tampa, depending on which one they didn't get thrown out of that year.
Yeah.
And they bombed it. You know, I understand them
bad.
hooking up with Surf Expo, but I don't know. To me, it didn't make sense, but then again, I'm on the outside looking in.
Yeah, yeah. What about another show in Florida or another place in Florida? Any thoughts or
Outside of
feedback on that,
Orlando?
guys? Yeah, outside of Orlando. Yeah.
So years ago, we tried one down in Fort
Was it
Lauderdale.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Died.
Okay.
I don't know if we did it with Impressions or I did it with the Press magazine, because I've done it with other companies, and there's no draw.
Yeah.
You know, I
Well,
mean,
there is a draw, and it's funny when planning events, you have to toe the line. Who's going to have a dead day life? So you can push people to actually come to the event and the conference stuff. And maybe it was all those people that came to Fort Lauderdale and went to the beach instead. I don't know.
I can understand that. You know, I think the thing with Orlando, especially in February, I think the reason it was such a heavy show is you could take your kids, still hit Disney World. You could go to the show, which they did heavily.
Yeah.
And you got out of the cold area for a week.
Mm-hmm.
And going down there in September is like, really, I got to go from hot to hotter? Why do I want to do that?
Yeah.
Oh, and September, my kids are back in school. So I think, they took a really good show. I think they bombed it. But, that's my opinion about it anyway.
Sure.
And as long as it's just the 4 of us on here, I may as well throw my opinion out there. Although this is being recorded and people do actually come onto my website and listen to these if they can't get onto it.
It's all good. It's all good. You be as open as you want, Charlie. No, I appreciate it. It's good to know. And again, for me coming in, doing this, I don't know, 5 months now, 6 months. It's good feedback for me to hear, right, on what worked and what didn't historically, so we know for the future.
The show that everyone keeps asking me about, you're going to laugh, is when is Impressions going to go back to Las Vegas? And we were there. I mean, there was 105 when we were there and nobody complained. Okay. Did it draw a lot of people? I don't know how much it drew, but I know a lot of people would run to go back there.
Yeah.
And I think they only did it for like 2 years or something like that.
Okay.
How
far back is that going, Charlie?
Huh?
How far back is that going for Vegas?
God, that's a good question. I'd probably say about 7 or 8 years ago.
Okay.
Not tremendous, COVID definitely screwed up everything. My time frame is really difficult to put my finger on because of that. But I'd say it probably about 7 years ago or so.
Okay.
It was held in September-ish, August, September. I'm not sure. All I know was like 105 when I was there. I mean, it was hot. But, it's Vegas. So I think anybody who's going to Vegas goes with the understanding that, yep, it's going to be hot.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
That's why you don't leave the casino.
Well, and casinos are always air conditioned, aren't they?
Yeah. Now I do have a question for you. NBM or another show seems geared a lot more towards the home user or the side hustle type thing, and the Impressions seems a lot more industry strong. You know what I mean? Not so many people with crickets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Are you gonna hopefully plan on keeping that type of mentality with the shows, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we our goal here is to be the industry resource for everybody. But luckily for this brand, Sean, I think the longevity in the marketplace, 40 plus years, it just has a really good reputation. And people know, what to expect when they come to the show, when you go to the magazine, when you go to the websites, things like that. So we want to continue that and build upon that. But I definitely think that's the foundation that we have, for the user side, at least.
Sean, the thing about Graph Expo is every seminar is quote unquote a paid commercial. In order to be a speaker, you have to take a booth. And so when you are a speaker, you can promote the hell out of your product because they don't care. That's how you become a speaker there. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Oh, I remember that. And that's why I never go to I went to the classes like the first couple of years I went. And then I found out, well, they're exactly the same thing. They're all trying to sell their software or their
Right.
art program or this or that. And then, Charlie's up there just telling you how to print better. So I was like, oh, I like this.
Well, when they first started that show, they contacted me and said, hey, would you be a speaker? And I said, yeah, okay, I can work that out. He said, well, good. Then you have to buy a booth. It's like, what the hell am I going to do with a booth? And it's like, well, if you don't take a booth, you can't speak. And it's like, you know what? Not a problem. I won't speak. I mean, to me, it was kind of like, and I don't think a lot of people are aware of the fact that what they're getting is an infomercial.
Oh, that all I needed to do is go to the Rhinestone guy and they'll know they're in an infomercial.
Well, not only the Rhinestone, but pretty much anybody else, I think. But I've never sat in on any, so I couldn't really say. But, I think that it's a disservice to put it out there as an educational seminar because that's not really what it is. And I think
they're selling a product, which is really bad.
It's totally about product, and I think that's one of the big things at the Impressions Expo is the fact that the seminars, as a matter of fact, we were told flat out, you cannot promote your product. Well, I don't really have a problem with that since I don't have a product, but even those who do are pretty cautious about not promoting their particular product. I know when Dane speaks, he doesn't sell his artwork. He talks about artwork in general and how to manipulate it and how to get it to a finished product that makes sense. And of course, if you do want to go to his site and stuff, that's fine. But he's one of those guys who worries about everything. So he's really, really conscious of it. Me, I don't really care. I don't have anything to sell other than myself. So I don't worry about it. I mean, not that many people want to buy me anyway. Of course I am for sale, but that doesn't seem to help much. But and I think that's the problem with some of the other shows. Well, it isn't the problem. I mean, I also speak at the DAX show, and they're very conscious about keeping it as an educational workshop or seminar, which is great. And theirs is actually a very small show. They've kind of filled in areas where a big show can't go. For a big show to go to Kansas City or Minneapolis or not even Minneapolis, to the outskirts of Minneapolis or the outskirts of Chicago. Nobody can go into Chicago. The cost is just insanity. But to go to the outskirts of Chicago, you could definitely do it pretty inexpensively, but it's not going to draw a big enough crowd for someone like Impressions to be there. But they do a nice job. I just have a problem with Graph Expo. It just drives me crazy that they're infomercials and nobody really wants to call it that.
Well, the worst, any show to me is a good show if I can get to it because I'm going to learn hopefully something new or reconfirm that I'm doing something correctly, whether it's using the proper suppliers or not. But this last year we went out to the one in North Carolina and we drove up that morning and it took longer to drive up there than we stayed there.
Yeah.
Because it was so catered to that home shop type mentality.
Yeah, I went to the one in Denver only because I live here, no other reason. And aside from the fact that it was small, it was so segmented. You had screen print, you had embroidery, you had signage. There wasn't a whole lot of anything going on, really. There was no buzz, you know what I mean? And I think I spent maybe 2 hours there, most of which was talking to friends in the industry, not really doing anything else because there wasn't really a whole lot of anything to do. Where, you know, when you get to an impression show or Printing United or whatever, it's a big show with lots of people, with lots going on. And you have an opportunity to really bump into a lot of the industry people that you haven't seen in a while, can sit down. Besides chewing the fat, you can also talk about industry situations where in these small shows, well, or the Graph Expo, I just didn't have that kind of buzz. I love doing the little DAX show because these are people who don't go to any other show. So you'll never see them in an impression show or any of the other shows. They happen to be, it's all drive-in traffic. Nobody flies in. And it's, I call it my farmers and ranchers show. I mean, everybody's, you know, wearing their cowboy boots and cowboy hats, and they're coming with their pickup trucks. And it's a great show in that sense, but, you know, it draws 2,500 people, maybe 3,000 on their best show, which if Impressions did it would be one serious bomb and you would have every exhibitor all over yourself. For those little shows, you know, it's great. I mean, it's a 2-day show and you see the same people for 2 solid days, checking out anything and everything and spending a lot of time talking, which is really a good thing. But I think all of us are really kind of keeping our fingers crossed that January will be a great kickoff show. Sean, have you gone to that show in January at all?
Yeah, we went, I want to say in 17, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was 17. And it rained on us when we were trying to get out of there and the roads all, it was pretty cool.
Oh, I don't recall that, but okay, I buy into it.
But it was, no, we remember we went and had, you got these monster oysters at this restaurant.
Okay, I could go for those again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was at King's Fish House.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I could do those anytime. I could do them for lunch today, except that we're not in California, so that's out. But by the way, I'm supposed to be in Atlanta working with Eric, I think in September.
Oh,
So
very good.
I'll let you know in advance. Maybe I can pop in and see you and Russ. Maybe I've never been to the Impressions offices.
Well, let's make it happen. Let's all 3 meet up. Why
That's
shouldn't
fine.
we?
You know, just find the oysters and we're good to go.
You're in the middle of hot Atlanta. You don't want oysters.
You know what's funny? Yeah, it used to be you only ate oysters on months that ended in an R.
Yeah, right.
And you know what? That's all gone down the drain.
Has it really?
Yeah, you know, it just depends where they're getting the oysters from. So if they're
Okay.
coming out of the Gulf, you definitely want an R. And that's where the whole thing started, was down in New Orleans and stuff, because their waters warm up. And so oysters coming out of warm water, not so good.
Right.
But, you know, like I grew up in New York and oysters up there, I guess they call it cowboy or something like that, out of the bay. Really good. Anything coming out of California, not a problem, because those are cold waters. So the only thing you don't want is you don't want Gulf oysters. That would not be a good thing. But if they're coming out of the New England area or out of the California area, more Northern California, Seattle, etc., not a problem.
Okay, good to know.
Of course, if you ask Dane, he'll tell you that, nah, if it ain't an R, I ain't eating it. Okay. It was funny. I took him to a sushi place and he said, do you want me to eat raw fish? I said, you eat oysters? He said, yeah. His comment was, yeah, but them is oysters. It's like, really? Anyway. Anyway, here we are. I don't know how long you guys want to really stay on. I mean, obviously, we're not drawing a whole hell of a lot of a crowd, although we do have Sean and we do have Jim, who hasn't said a word yet, but is waiting for me to finish this so I can go and get his truck back to him that I
Well,
had
that's
to
not
borrow
true.
over the weekend.
Trying to get my work done around the shop without interrupting.
I'm not telling you to not continue. You go for it. But yeah, I noticed it's 92 right now. Oof. Going to be way too hot for me. But
I think
so
Sean
no.
and I are looking about 87. I'm showing 87 right now, which is actually
I got-
nice.
I got 95 on my dashboard.
Okay, there you go.
All right. Well, definitely on the hot side. Sean, got anything that you want to address?
No, I mean, I really enjoy the publication. I like the articles that are in there. They're a little more advanced than basic most of the time, which is nice.
I got a
Good.
quick question for you then. So I know soon we're going to have to come up with the workshops and seminars for next year. If you had some choices, what would you be looking for?
Me,
Yeah,
advanced techniques, actually anything to do with efficiencies and less staff. So anything that would allow us to, and I know CTS, but anything that would help us do more with less, because this labor issue is really sucks.
yeah, no, everywhere. So you're looking for
It could be anything from
improving productivity without adding more personnel.
correct, or
Well, that would
or
definitely be
even-
more on the seminar side.
even software, or ways to create a business or process flow that make it easy to do it with everything day after day after day and still keep on top of production. Now I know that's the rainbow unicorn flying across the sky right now.
So if it was a workshop, what would you be looking for, which is on a different level than a seminar? What are you getting into? Anybody asking for anything that seems like a trend?
No.
Okay.
We
what about trying to put an automatic on in a workshop room?
that probably would be a great piece, but don't they have don't do the workshops on the show floor?
No, I did them
No.
Prior to the pandemic. We actually hooked together with M&R, and they shipped a automatic to Long Beach, and then the pandemic hit, which effectively killed off doing any more hands-on workshops with an automatic. But I'm going up to M&R on Friday, and I'm supposed to do some workshops up there for them. But part of what I wanted to do is, if they were game, is to see if we couldn't put together an advanced workshop at the Impressions Expo.
That would,
Yeah.
good.
Okay, so that's something you would be interested in.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Anything where I can go see, I mean, I'm not talking a Polaris because I'm not
either,
that's
because
not us.
I don't know how to deal with them. I don't have a spare 830,000 at the moment, so.
Yeah. Well, don't forget the pallets. Just kidding.
Yeah, well, another 15, 20 grand, big deal. If you're up to 830 and you're up to 850, who cares?
Yeah, at that point. But there's a lot of stuff. What's in is the DTF, the
Yes.
direct to film.
I agree.
But there's also, I mean, there's there's a bunch of crap out there, and I think it's progressing quite rapidly, and I don't think it's going to disappear or shrink as much as direct to garment did.
You know, so I was talking to a couple of people about DTF, and what the general opinion was, you've got units that you can pick up for about 5,000 to 6,000 and units that are in at about 30,000. And so the question is it worth spending 30,000 at this time? Or is it worth playing with the $5,000 to $6,000 unit and waiting for things to improve or to get more sophisticated? Kind of like, you know, I was involved with Kornit when they first came to this country in 2004. And at that same show, you had Scott Fresner come out with his direct garment machine. So their Kornit was 90,000 on their small unit and 130,000 on their big one. And Scott Fresner was at 12 grand on his unit. And, you know, my question even back then was, who in their right mind is going to spend $90,000 to $130,000 for one of these things?
Yeah.
And the surprising thing was every distributor that I put them into had to sell 5 units for the year in order to retain their distributorship. Every one of them sold nothing but the $130,000 units.
Wow.
And had no trouble at all. I think the thing with the DTF, I think there's a lot of puzzlement. I don't know if a lot of people understand enough about it, including me. You know, what can it go on? What does it feel like? Is it really soft? Is it not soft? The ones I felt were not. And, you know, I can understand if you're doing it and you're putting it onto a wooden plaque or onto a piece of leather. Who cares if it's not soft? But if you're putting it on a garment, you'd certainly want it to be very soft. And I don't know if all of them are or not. You know much about it at all? Or have you
Yeah,
looked into it?
we've used Supercolor and Stahl's
Right.
Ultracolor.
Okay.
We like, as far as process wise, Supercolor seems to do a lot better job when applying it.
Okay.
They've got the regular wearables that'll go on cotton and poly blends. They've got their blocker, which will go on things that have dye migration issues like sublimated patterns on a polyester.
Okay.
And then they've also got stuff that'll go on promo, which you typically don't wash, like a backpack. And that's supposedly a different formulation, but I don't know. They all seem to do fairly well. They'll all have a hand if you don't have a lot of fabric opening. So if you're putting on like a 3-inch circle image, it's going to feel like a plastic transfer.
We keep losing you periodically, but so are you looking to get into doing it, or are you just going to keep ordering from stalls and other companies instead of investing in it?
No, I will not make the mistake of investing in something too soon again. So, no, I did not buy one of Fresner's, but I did buy an Anajet direct to garment. And
Oh my God, everyone that I spoke to that it's had an Anajet still has an Anajet and is willing to sell it off for next to nothing. Matter of fact, if you want to come and pick it up, they'd be happy to get rid of it.
Oh, I sold it probably 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And yeah, I took a bath on it, but I got it out of there for money.
Yeah. No,
but
and that's
no,
what I mean.
I'll go to a supplier and have them print them, because the cost is, I mean, if you look at what Stahl's is doing with their Ultracolor, they're charging 6 cents a square inch. So you can do a left chest transfer for like 60 cents.
Okay.
And
I have to admit, I haven't looked into that, but certainly it's a hot topic right now. I think like anything else, just like direct to garment, I think over the next year or two, there's going to be a lot more improvements, a lot more companies that are going to jump into it, and price point wise, who knows where it's going to be. But
another one is the cut and sew sublimation. there are a few companies in the US that do it in the US,
Yep.
but a lot of people are shipping from China. And that's real problematic, especially when they close down again for COVID.
Well, not only China, I mean, I was going to Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, and they were doing quite a bit there of that same type of situation. As a matter of fact, I have a friend in Indonesia who does a huge amount of that, as well as screen print, embroidery, et cetera, but he's doing a huge amount of sublimation that is cut parts and then sewn. And the funny thing is, he's probably no more money than any of the Chinese companies, but I don't think most American companies ever think about going to Indonesia for anything.
Yeah. I mean, we just got to be aware of them. So those would be perfect booth vendors at a show. Would be those. I remember I saw one company, but they never had a price list. They were way too difficult to work with. If we can, like I've San Diego before, and I toured their I toured their shop when we went to San Ysidro, and they do it all there. They got all the bolts of fabric there.
Yep.
But
Yeah, that's
that's
Don's place, and Savvy is the name of the company.
yeah. But they've got a good price on them too. But they're good.
They do, and they do a killer job, but they are expensive. Dane just has all his shirts done by them.
Exactly. That's how I heard about them, and that's why I wanted to visit them.
Well, they had their own facility in India, but they decided to get out of India. And so Don brought it all into the States. He used to exhibit at the Impression Show. I think the only one that he really exhibits at now is the PPIA show in January. There's not enough of what he does that makes sense at Impressions, although a lot of companies that do need it know about his company.
But those are the two big things I think we're seeing a lot more push on.
Okay.
Is the full cut and sew stuff and the DTF.
Hey, Jim, you got anything that you want to put in?
No, Sean pretty much dialed that straight in. Everything that I would be looking for as well is about having workshops in that, because actually right now we're doing an ultra color print from Stalls, and it's the same thing. I'm not going to go and throw an investment into a direct to garment right now, or a DTF either, just for the fact that I can't get my return on investment for the direct to garment yet. I still haven't been able to figure out a mold where I could bring that in. And then with the direct to film, it's still too new, and I'm not completely sold on it in the processes that I've used. But if I am using it, I'm going to use another vendor just to have them do the print for me. So if we had more, I don't know what other options are out there for doing something like the ultra color as well as brands. I've kind of been around Stalls since I met with Dane and you 9 years ago or whatever it was. So I'm interested in pretty much everything that Sean said.
Okay. Well, that sounds easy enough. Well, all righty then. Well, that being the case, I think I'm going to shut this down so I can come and visit you and get rid of this truck that you lent me. And Russ, thanks so much for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you.
Sean, you know what? That's not a good shot of you, man. It's showing that second chin way beyond what you want to show.
Well, no, the good thing is I got 3, so you're only seeing 2. I'm positive.
Well, there you go. Never mind.
Thanks, Charlie.
Sean, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, below the bell. Hey, Sean and Charlie, whenever you're in town in September, seriously, let's look at all 3 of us meeting up or doing something. Okay, that'd be great.
As soon as I've worked it out with Eric, which will probably be sometime next month.
Okay.
Over at Action Engineering, I will let both of you guys know when I'm going to be in town, and worse, maybe we'll just get together for some dinner or something.
Sounds good.
Exactly. Awesome. Thank you.
I may have to go with Sean to get bagels somewhere.
Somewhere.
I forget the name of the place.
Yeah, I'm
but it
sure.
was
I'm
good.
sure he knows of it. It's BB's Bagels.
There we go.
Yeah,
Have you
yeah,
ever
I've
been-
heard of BB's Bagels. Yep. Mhm.
You've not
Yep.
been there? So you need to go
Hmm.
there because you get a half a dozen free bagels when you go, I think,
Right.
the first time. That is cool. Gentlemen, thank you so
Awesome.
much. This is being recorded and it is going to go on to my website. So should you want to see your smiling faces again, you can definitely go on there and see them. Other than that, gentlemen, have a good one. Wonderful seeing you. Thanks again, Russ.
Thanks,
Appreciate
guys. Thanks,
Okay.
Charlie. Take
it.
care.
Jim, I'm going to head over you right now.
Sounds good.
Bye.